attendance is probably a little bit down from everybody's perspective, including ALM. However, we find that the large firm attendance is being replaced or supplanted with small and medium firms, especially local firms in up the Northeast Corridor. That's interesting because the smaller firms, and small is a relative term, actually see the downturn of the economy as an opportunity to kind of play upscale and compete for the kind of business that the large blue chip firms have been taking on so successfully for so many years. And they're looking for some competitive advantage for the ability to do that. We're also finding that the large firms, though they're being a lot more conservative about travel budgets and show budgets, conferences and the things of that nature, are actually continuing to undertake key initiatives. It's always been said that in times of economic stress, those are the best times to do capital investment for growth, times when the economy is moving more aggressively, people are buying, legal needs are evolving in a much more aggressive way. And so what we're finding out in our practice, and with respect to the large firms, is that key initiatives aren't necessarily being put on hold. Operating budgets are being approached much more conservatively. We've seen in some cases where CIOs have been told to cut operating budgets as much as 40%, essentially to do nothing more in the coming months than keep the lights on. However, key initiatives that have been committed to and that have been undertaken or started are continuing. And the reason for that's quite simple. There are certain things you can't not do if you have a need in order to run the business and propagate the business. This is true with knowledge management initiatives, work product management, key financial system initiatives that have a great deal of bearing on business intelligence drivers and the kinds of metrics that are required in order for management to make the sorts of decisions they need to make. These things are happening. So the industry is feeling a little bit sluggish right now as a result of the economy, and in some cases, extreme cases, very sluggish. But it isn't letting go of the concepts that it needs to follow in order to better itself, and technology is one of the tools that effectuates that betterment. So we're seeing a great deal of, if I can't call it optimism, I call it heads down, get it done effort in order to advance the cause at a time when it's appropriate to do that. One other reflection, we've seen in recent years, especially in LegalTech, this major explosion, booths on the floor of e-discovery and litigation support vendors, simply as a function of everything that's going on that side of the house. There have been some vendor deaths in recent months. We see that there's a bit of a slowdown as a function of the e-discovery vendor world having been more commoditized, much more price pressure, in-house, both law departments and law firms beginning to get their arms around the ability to do some of the same things they had to go outside and rely on vendors to do in the past. So I haven't done a count of booths, but we see that the traffic from an e-discovery point of view is slightly lower. It's a very interesting phenomenon. That side of the house of the industry will probably take this year as a function of both the economy, that commoditization issue, to repurpose or reinvent itself going forward in order to keep their stake in the kind of business that they think that can be mustered, because one of the things that we all note is that litigation isn't slowing down. In fact, it's expected that new filings this year as a function of the economy and everything that's happening around us are probably going to be on the rise. So it's a very interesting trend.